Hello, congratulations for coming this far. We've been talking about teaching you how to actually fill out the articles of incorporation or the certificate of formation. That's what you have to fill out in the state of Texas and in the United States and in other countries for that matter to be able to actually register your nonprofit organization. We've gone through many things. We've gone through taking you from confirming your calling to going through basically having you develop a mission statement and then going through vision and core values. And we've talked about strategy. Now, this is the time to actually show you how to fill out the form that is called the Articles of Incorporation or the Certificate of Formation, which is how you actually found or start your nonprofit. When you fill out this form and send to the Secretary of State in the state of Texas, then you have registered your nonprofit and it is official. Okay, so I'm going to go through that form right now and basically show you how to start it. Okay, let's get right into it. I have form 202. It's gonna be different in every state. The name of the form is gonna be different, and the process is going to be the same in even outside of the US. It will be different, but you have to file these articles of incorporation, also called certificate of formation, to be able to actually register your nonprofit and make it official. This form, you could find it on sos.state.tx.us if you're in the state of Texas, and it gives you some instructions. We're not going to read the instructions. We're just going to go and fill out the form because I've filled out this form at least 10 times for different purposes, okay? And I filed this form for nonprofits several times in the state of Texas for different nonprofits and stuff like that. So this is something that I'm very familiar with, and we're going to go through it and just fill it out. So from the top, it says Form 202, you can see that. And Certificate of Formation is what it's called. You're going to send it to this address when you're done filling the form, and the fee for it is $25. You mail it to this address, and there's a step that you have to carry out before you actually fill this form if you want to be sure. It is you basically have to call the Secretary of State and do a name availability check. It's how it's called, a name availability check. You'll give them the name that you've come up with for your nonprofit, and they have to check to see whether there is a nonprofit in the state of Texas that is registered that has that same name or a name that is very similar that according to the law of Texas will be considered too close. If that happens in the state of Texas, what they do is that they basically tell you to go get a letter from the owner of the nonprofit or the company or the entity that basically has that name. If they say, okay, you can start that, then the state will allow it. If not, the state will not allow it. But you're going to get your name and you write the name here. What's it? The name. Then so the name of the organization. So Shaping Destiny is the name of an organization that started in Texas. Shaping Destiny. I'll write it in here. Okay. But you have to do name availability check first if you're in Texas. That way you're sure that when you're filling it out, they're not going to send the form back to you saying, sorry, that somebody has that name already. You check the name first. So when you do that, so you're going to write the name there. I'm wiping that because I'm not filling it into the form. I'm writing it on my screen to show you. So if I move the screen, it's going to stay. So basically you do that. Now, the second question, Article 2, registered agent or registered office, okay? It says the initial registered agent is an organization. Nope, you're not. If you are an organization, for example, if Shaping Destiny, which I founded, wants to start another nonprofit, Shaping Destiny can say it is the registered agent. But for most people, it's not going to be an organization because for most people taking this course, you're going to be trying to start your first organization. If you've started one before, you probably would know what to do. Or maybe you're taking this course to actually help you be able to understand more. And so it is because some people, like I did the first time, start a nonprofit when you don't have a clue about what you're studying. So now the second one, B, is what you're actually going to take. You're going to basically check this one, and then the name of the registered agent. For example, I'll write my name in here, Kenneth, first name Kenneth here, my last middle name and my last name, and if I have a suffix, I'll put it. It's a person. Now, I have to tell you that before you fill this form, you should have had your board formed. And in other lessons in this course, I discuss in detail how to actually recruit and set up your first board. And so you would have had meetings, you would have had board meetings, because on this form, you're actually going to be expected to tell the Secretary of State who the board members are and their positions. Okay, so let's keep going. Then you're going to enter here the business address of the registered agent, and the registered office address is, you're going to enter it here. Don't enter a PO box, they want a real address. Okay, you're going to enter that right here. Enter the city here, the state is already Texas, and the zip code, because this is only for Texas state. Now the article 3, now management. Okay, the management of the affairs of the corporation is vested in the board of directors. The number of directors consisting the initial board of directors and the names and addresses of the persons who are to serve as directors until the first annual meeting of members or until their successors are elected and qualified as follows. In the state of Texas, they require that you have at least 3 board members. Okay, so you're basically going to fill this form and put their name. First name, for example, when for shaping this name, I'm one of the board members, so my name will go here. Kenneth, my middle initial, my last name, my street mailing address, and all that as above. And then the second person's name, director number 2. So they call them board members are called directors. Okay, board of directors, each one of them is a director. So director number 1 says me, director number 2 is somebody else, director number 3 is somebody else. You fill those out. Or the management of the affairs of the corporation is to be vested in non-profit corporation's members. You don't check this one. Well, it depends. For most non-profits that are like Shaping Destiny, they don't have members. If you check members, you're going to have to do more. You would have to attach a document that explains a lot more about the rights and responsibility of members. I discussed a little bit on membership in this course, and I'm going to repeat here. Members would be like a group where you have a community, for example, and then they meet together, select their board members. They basically vote the board members, and they can vote them down, and that's how it works. Like a city, for example, is like that. Okay, so the non-profit corporation shall have members. No, shall not. B, the non-profit corporation will have no members. This is what I checked for, and this is what most people who are trying to start an organization like Shaping Destiny would check right here. And the purpose. Okay, the non-profit corporation is organized for the following purpose or purposes. Now, I encourage you at this point, because this articles of incorporation that you're filling out is going to be required by the IRS when you try to apply for tax exemption or the 501c3 tax exemption. When you apply for that, they're going to want to see it. So I encourage you, I'm not going to cover filing for 501c3 in this course. That's not part of this course, because that's not part of starting a nonprofit. That's you could totally run a nonprofit for years without having tax exemption, and you could still accept donations. The people who give you donations just wouldn't be able to consider those donations as tax exempt. And when people give you $100 here and there, really they don't get much back on when they file taxes, even though the people don't understand that. So we're not going to cover that in this class. What I will advise you though is that when you're filing this, you should check where, and I recommend that you should use a service like LegalZoom or some other service like that to file your IRS tax exemption. I did it myself for Shaping Destiny. When I started Shaping Destiny, I filled out this form by myself. I also filled out the application for tax exemption by myself, but it was tedious. It was tedious. The whole process from beginning to end could take over a year, and it's tedious. So I don't encourage you to do what I did. I would not do that. If I'm starting a new nonprofit today, I'm not going to file for the tax exemption myself. You could pay $500 and get that done for you with less stress than what I went through to be able to do it. It's not like mine was rejected. It wasn't rejected. It's just that to be able to fill it right, you have to read a lot of things. It's just so many little things that it's better to allow people who do it every day to be able to do it. So what I advise here is that you should check the requirements. They are going and write a purpose that reflects both what your real purpose is and what the IRS wants to see. It's not that you're trying to trick the IRS. The IRS usually wants things clearly stated that this organization is organized explicitly for charitable purposes according to section this of the IRS code, 501c3. That refers to a section of the IRS, and then you can add on there that its purpose also is to glorify God, or whatever your purpose really is. Your purpose here talks about mission. It's your mission that you're going to put there. Okay. So you do that here. And take my advice and it will save you. But if you don't do this, it's not the end of the world. What you will do is that when you actually start filing, the IRS will require you to go do an addendum to your articles of incorporation. You will pay another $25 to the Secretary of State and send in another form that they have. They'll tell you what the form is, and then you'll say, I'm wanting to amend my articles of incorporation, and then they will let you amend it. It's not the end of the world. You just do it again and pay another $25, but you can save yourself that by looking. This is something that I discovered the hard way, and I'm giving you a tip to be able to help you avoid the mistake that I made. Okay, so we continue and see that the following text area may be used to include any additional language or provisions. You could use these text areas now to include the details that the IRS is going to be looking for. Okay, just to tell you a little bit what the IRS will be looking for. The IRS will be looking for, one, that you put a dissolution clause in there that would basically say that when this nonprofit closes down, the property and funds and everything it belongs is going to be given over to another tax-exempt charitable organization that does the same kind of thing. That's what the IRS is going to want you to say. Okay. They're also going to want you to have a conflict of interest clause in there, which basically will prove to them that you're not trying to start this nonprofit and basically use it to employ your brothers and sisters and you misuse it. So you'll put a conflict of interest article in there, and you could Google. We don't cover that in this class because, again, this is not part of starting an organization. You don't need a conflict of interest to be able to start an organization. You need that when you start filing for tax exemption and stuff like that. When you do your boards and all that, a conflict of interest article will also be helpful for your board of directors to have. So another one is indemnification, which basically means that board members are covered. They can be sued, and if they're sued, then the organization will pay for the expenses, the legal expenses. So the IRS will want you to see things like that. They may want your bylaws and stuff like that, and so you would get that. So the name and address of the organizer. So you'll put if you're the person chosen by the board to be the organizer. So I already said again that before you fill out this form, you're going to already have met as a board, and you've decided the names of the board members, and you've put the name of the organizer would be here, which would be my name and address here. Okay, Kenneth, and then blah blah, and then my address, or the organizer is the person that the nonprofit chooses to represent it. And basically, so you keep going and you see here that it says effective filing. Now, this basically asks you, do you want this to start effective as soon as they receive it? Yes, you should choose that one, that this document becomes effective when the document is filed with the Secretary of State. So choose A right here. Okay. Otherwise, if you choose something else, they might have to wait. But because you could send them a document and say, don't wait, file this document in 5 months, or give a date for them. Okay. And then they would basically, let's say this document becomes effective at a later date, which is not, see, they say it can't be more than 90 days. So you can't say 5 months. You can say 3 months though. You can't say 5 months, and they can delay the effective date for up to 90 days before they file it. And then you sign, you basically have to put the date here, signature, you sign here, print your name here. And when you fill out this form and pay the $25 and send it, then congratulations, you have filed the certificate of formation of your nonprofit, also called the Articles of Incorporation. And the Secretary of State is going to receive it within 2 days, and within a few days they will file it, and you'll get a letter from them that is stamped that basically says your nonprofit is filed and it's official. You are a nonprofit that is existing, and again, congratulations on that. But the work just begins for you, because from there you'll start doing different things.